Hello, hello, hello. What's up, everyone? I hope you're all doing well and had a fantastic weekend as usual. Pretty chill weekend on my part, but back to the charts. Another big weekend move on Sunday. Has been now 3 weekends in a row where we have had very big moves, but of course no need to FOMO at the highs, especially if you got that long off of our support level. But as usual, if anyone is in the live chat, could you let me know if we are live and the sound and video is good, of course, before we dive into everything. Hello, Jean-Pierre, by the way. Hello, and hello, TGMF. I hope you guys are well. Habib, everything is good. Let's dive in. Hope you're well, my friend, and had a good weekend. So what we'll do as usual, very quickly, we'll do the announcements, then dive into the weekly recap, and then finally dive into today's price action and what you can potentially expect next. Before you feel any FOMO while I do the recap, I mean, it will take a couple of seconds, but in case you have FOMO, just be aware we have a 1 hour imbalance at the highs. So longs are starting to pile in, definitely. Good afternoon, good afternoon, hello Roderick. Starting the stream already, can barely talk. That's perfect, man. Okay, so for the announcements, you guys know if you want to trade with a 30% fee discount on Bitunix, it's a very good exchange, especially after what happened on was it 2 Fridays ago? So on that big liquidation, I do believe that Bitunix proved to be one of the best exchange out there in how they managed the losses. Binance was one of the worst ones, and Bybit also kind of disappointed me. But in any case, Bitunix was a very good exchange. Once again, a 30% fee discount. You can sign up with our link, which will be in the description of this live stream. And of course, if you want to trade with our imbalance indicator, which helped me give this this support and this resistance on Monday, of course, the link will be available in the description as well, and it's in our website. Okay, so it's available in our courses. With that said, let's dive into the recap. So this week was extremely simple, honestly. The levels actually have not changed since last Sunday. If you remember in our live stream, this is the scenario that I had given. Okay, so this is when we did the live right there. What I wanted to see was a drop into support to then move up, to then move back up into resistance, and then move back down, so potentially offer a short position. Now, as you can see, we got the move up without reaching support, which was not a big problem because at this point, well, the plan hadn't really changed. I was still looking for a short up there, as you know, and the plan that I gave was like pretty much picture perfect. What I wanted to see once we got the first rejection on Monday morning was a range up here for a while and then sweep the highs before opening a short position. And as you all know, that's exactly what happened. We went sideways for the entire day, swept the highs again, got the rejection. I took my short position, and of course the day we got a very nice drop, but at the lows, because we had a triple bottom and my support was below, I had not implemented the take profit one yet. Then when we got the bit of a bounce, the recovery of the 4 hour, I did implement a take profit one. Got stopped out the rest of my short on the daily open. And after that, we came back the next day. We had a very big wick on the 12-hour chart, which I wanted to see to get recovered. Right there, main idea is that wick is gonna get revisited. So my support had not changed since last Sunday. It was this one below, drop into it, see reversal to the upside. And in the end, that's exactly what happened. Even when we got the first low, I still wanted to see a second low, which is, once again, I mean, I do kind of sound like a broken record, but can't do anything about it. That's literally exactly what happened. We took out the low again and then got the reversal to the upside. For myself, I have to admit, I do feel extremely stupid on this. Like, not just a bit, I feel very stupid. But I didn't open a long position because, once again, I'm stupid. I don't have any big excuse for this. It was just bad reading of price action from my part. I can dive into it if you want why I was hesitant on this long position. Let me know in the live chat what my thought process was. Obviously, it didn't play out. But yeah, Beautiful prediction. After that, as you know, we just wanted to see higher prices. And on Friday even, we did a quick update before the CPI. And mainly what I wanted to see was a drop to deviate below the daily open because the wick was just too small to the downside. This was the only wick that we had. So I just wanted to see a bit of a bigger wick before hitting our resistance and then potentially reversing to the downside and closing the weekend around the daily open. Now this scenario, now it kind of played out in reverse where we got the move up first, but we did front on my resistance up here. Okay, so we did front on my resistance, but the logic of the daily open did play out because that was the daily open. Was it this one? Yeah, that was the daily open. As you can see, we got the deviation below the daily open as I wanted to see, which is now offering this move to the upside. So this week, once again, I have to say, well, I mean, it was very good analysis. The one and big trade that I missed obviously was that long. Kind of disappointed in myself, but it happens. That's trading, and you just have to move on. Can you tell why you were hesitant on this short, on this long? Yes, I can. So basically, my thought process was that I would have loved to see this job during the Asian session. Okay, I was ready to do a white knight and just wait for the job. But when we got this job before the daily open, my thought process was that the volume is kind of low. So if we bounce a bit and then we have the daily open, so if you look at the time below, this was the daily open. So no, sorry, that was the daily open. So my thought process was that if we get the daily open somewhere around the lows, which we did, we would form a bit of a wick to the downside. And then I could see if I open a long position. But in this case, if we got this, I would not have liked the structure of a triple bottom. That's why I kind of hesitated on the long position. But in the end, what happened is just that we got a very small wick to the downside. If we go on the daily chart and I show you the daily candle, it's this one. As you can see, we got a very small wick. So that was the logic. Of course, once again, it didn't play out. So was it the right thought process? I'll be honest, of course it wasn't. Not only because of the daily open, but I mean, we did have a very good 30-minute imbalance at the lows on this drop. I think on Binance we had a 1 hour as well. So on Binance we had two 30-minute, by the way, and no 1 hour. Okay, so do you have a 4 hour? No, we didn't. Yeah, we did. So we did have two 30-minute imbalance on Binance and one on Bybit, which is always enough for me to open a long position. Plus, of course, I mean, the trade risk to reward was extremely good. You take it at the low, stop loss at 106.1. As I said in the update, if you remember, I did not want that low to get taken out. And then your take profit, I mean, your first take profit would have been a bit lower, maybe on this order block. But already you can see on this order block, that's a 6-1, extremely safe trade. The fact that I didn't take it, I have to be honest, I mean, I've said it, I'll say it again, it's just extremely pissed me off. And yeah, I am not very smart. And why did I say it like that? I don't know. Why are the daily open closes so important? Well, because usually around the daily open, you have the Asian session, which means you'll have a lot of volume coming in. And usually around the daily open, when you have a lot of volume, naturally, you will have both longs and shorts. And that's why, if we take the example of this daily candle, if you remember when I did the update on Tuesday, we were looking at this wickless daily candle. As you can see, this was the daily open. We didn't have a wick above. So when you have this, all of the shorts that open on the daily open have not gotten stopped out. So yes, you got a big drop, but around the daily open, you have all of these shorts that have opened, which of course then marks a big pool of liquidity. So that's why daily opens are important in my opinion, and I always look for a wick above and below. That's because on the daily open, volume comes in. You can see right on the open you had the imbalance. You have both longs and shorts opening usually, and that's why when you have a wickless daily candle, this means that whichever side it's on, this time it's to the upside, the shorts have not gotten stopped out. So around the daily open, you will have all of the stop losses of these shorts. And that's, once again, if you watch our update, yes, our support got front run, but it got retested in the future. But of course, the main reason, at least in my opinion, that we got this very strong move up was because of the wickless daily candle. And that's why daily opens are so important. Okay, one last time, you have volume coming in, so you have both longs and shorts opening. So that's why usually, at least for myself, I look for a bit of a wick, both sides, to stop out both of the sides, and then get the true move. So that's kind of what I was looking for there. So that was a daily open once again. And see, you didn't really have a wick below. So maybe if we got this, I would have actually entered a long position, a retest of this order block. But yeah, I don't know why I just didn't execute. It was a very safe trade. I planned it for the entire week. We even got the second low as I wanted to see. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. But in any case, that's it for the recap. Very simple week. I mean, we always keep it simple. Very good analysis, bad execution, of course, but very good analysis. If you go on the 12-hour chart, you can see that wick now pretty much has got fully recovered. And of course, this level didn't offer any reaction, as you can see. So now we can remove it. That was daily open. And with that said, what can you expect next? Well, let's go on let's start on the daily. Why is my daily open there? I don't know. 12-hour, nothing. 4-hour. Okay, we have 4-hour. Binance. Binance, we have two 4-hour imbalances, so that's a big warning sign on this rise, of course. Daily, 12-hour. Okay, 4-hour, we just looked at it, and 1 hour, nothing. So we do have two 4-hour imbalances on Binance, which is of course a big warning sign, and on Bybit we have one, but we have a 1-hour imbalance right at the highs. So what we can do is take the high of this wick, the 12-hour wick. This has not been taken out yet on Bybit. Let me check something. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so well, the first thing that we want to note, of course, is that, as I said last week when you got this big move up on Sunday, is that it didn't make sense to expect a runaway gap to form, because this is not an environment to expect a runaway gap. And guess what? I was right. I mean, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about just outlining the right analysis. But this gap did end up getting filled right there before we got that nice move to the upside. So for now, I still hold the same view. I don't think it makes sense to get a runaway gap in this market. And if you look at the Friday close, where is it? 21. So the Friday close is the CME close is all the way back down to $111,000. Okay, that's the first thing to note. Just thinking, guys, of a scenario. I'm sorry if I'm taking a bit longer. This one's gonna be a bit more complicated than usual. The reason for that, by the way, if you're wondering what I'm thinking about, is that all of the imbalances have been recovered, which I don't really like. You can see you have this imbalance, it got recovered, offered a bounce. This imbalance obviously got recovered. This imbalance obviously got recovered. Just have this one below, but the main ones, these three have gotten recovered. Even on the 30 minutes, you can see this one got recovered, this one got recovered, this one got recovered. Every single imbalance has gotten recovered except this one, which is not super important. So that makes it a bit more complicated for me. I think what I would look for this week, Stephanie, remember we do have big news on Wednesday and on Thursday. So logically, I would say we have two scenarios. The first one, I don't believe the high is in just yet, just because we haven't taken out this wick, and the way price has been moving up, it does look like a short squeeze to me. So when you have a short squeeze, you do tend to take out all of the liquidity. So when you have liquidity above this high, it's just unlikely that when you have a short squeeze, you don't take out that liquidity. So what I would look for first is probably a move up above this high. How about it happens tomorrow? Let's just move up above this high and potentially reverse down and then back up, and I think back down, something like this. Let me look at this quick order block. It's not an imbalance, so that would be below the CME close, which is at $111,000. Problem once again, guys, I don't have any imbalance to look at as support, which I really dislike. Do you have any questions while I kind of form my analysis? This week is not the. I do believe this level will get reached above 116.6, and I do believe that this would offer a very nice short position, especially if we move up maybe right after the news or during the news on Wednesday and Thursday. I don't mind this scenario, guys. I don't mind it. Let me see if we have anything on Binance. I don't think we do. I was looking at this chart on Rhea. We don't even there. All of the imbalances got recovered. The 30-minute, everything got recovered. So in a way, I have to say this is more bearish and more bullish at the same time. Why is it more bullish? Because you're taking all of the liquidity, which is the imbalance, and then reversing. But it's more bearish in the sense that now if you jump back into these areas, you simply don't have these levels to look at as support. That's why it's a bit more bearish. Of course, the market does seem very overextended with two imbalances at the highs. How about this? Let me look at this. 100, that's 111, I don't mind that. Okay, let me look at the volume profile. Since the low, have the value area high there. It's not big enough in my opinion. It's just not. Interesting week. Okay, so I think what I would look for, definitely I think tomorrow offers a short. That would be my main hunch. I think tomorrow on Monday offers a short, just like last Monday. I think we'll get a short tomorrow. So how about just consolidate it a bit more down here? I think something like this could happen. We have this order block. I'm just gonna take this as a level. How about we consolidate until tomorrow, move up, consolidate above the highs, drop it back down. I don't really have a support down there, but that's what I would be looking for, and then send it back up to hit our resistance area and then reverse it lower. Yeah, I like this. That looks better. Yeah, I think I like this scenario, guys. How about on the 4-hour? That looks like the midpoint of the 4-hour imbalance, which is not bad. Here's the, I mean, it's there. It looks, yeah, 112.4. Yeah, that's the midpoint. That's nice. Yeah, I think that's what I would look for. Of course, it could get invalidated now, but I think that my bias, I mean, it would essentially remain the same. I think we leave this level alone until later in the week, and then we come back up to it and we see if it offers a short position. And ultimately, do we get a breakout this week, whether to the upside or to the downside? Of course, I could be wrong. And if we break this area, by the way, of course, I will look for much higher prices, at least for this high to get taken out, or maybe this order block. Doesn't really matter at this point. But if you break this, we don't have any resistance at least $122,000. So that's a $5,000 area where you don't have much. So that's why this level is so big. But do we get a breakout this week? I would like to think so. Maybe if we spent enough time inside of this range. What is your bias at the moment? I'm leaning a bit more bearish than most people, I have to admit. I'm seeing a lot of people still call for new all-time highs. But as you know, it doesn't really affect my trading because once again, if you have a support down here, I'm gonna take the long position whether I'm bullish or bearish. It doesn't really affect my trading. But if you want my hunch, I would like to see just that wick taken out because once again, if anyone is new and did not tune in into our last live stream, um, when you have big liquidations and big wicks, these wicks tend to get taken out. If I give you one very quick example, we did talk about this before, but you can look at the last big liquidation that we got, which was this one. You got a very big liquidation to the downside, a bounce, but at the end of the day, we came back down to take out the low of this wick. Same thing right there. You had the big liquidation to the downside. You ranged above it as long as you want, but ultimately took out that wick before reversing higher. So in this sense, this is mainly why I would still like lower prices. It's just like historically, when you have big liquidations, you have the wick, you've also lost the midpoint of that wick. Just makes sense to expect that wick, the low of that wick to get taken out. Ultimately, for myself, I would love for this to happen. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and yeah, we'll just move on. Ideally, of course, at this point, it should have been long from this low because now let's say we get this and we just move up higher, then I would have missed a very big long position, and I don't like it. By the way, a quick question, guys. I'm thinking about adding background music to the lives. Would you guys be interested in that? Just chill background music, because sometimes when I think, I don't want to think too long because I feel the silence. I don't like it. Can you tell? Okay, why are you long noodle the toffee glow? That's an interesting name. Can you also look at your stocks, S&P, and the precious metals? Yes, we'll dive into these. But for Bitcoin, guys, I think that would be my bias. Offer kind of a fake double top at the moment. Drop into this order block, 112.4. By the way, I will not be opening a long position here just because price is so overextended. It doesn't make sense to look for longs even if we got that drop. But I would look for this to drop here, bounce, tomorrow offer a short position, drop it back down before the news, then ideally pump it after the news on Wednesday and Thursday, create a sell the news event as usual, and reverse it to the downside. This just makes sense to me. Like price is moving up before the news. It just seems off to me. Why would you expect a breakout to the upside if we have big news coming up? Like, I don't remember the last time we had a buy the news event. Of course, if you drop before news, that's a different case. But when you pump into news and everyone is waiting for them, does it make sense to expect a breakout to the upside? Not really. That's my main idea. So tomorrow, potentially, if we can get this, so break to the upside tomorrow, I will be interested in shorts. If we break out today, no short position for me. I want to see what happens tomorrow. Today, not interested in trading as usual. I don't like trading the weekends. But yeah. Music can be fulfilling, but yeah, of course, very low volume. Okay, thank you for the feedback. Everyone's shorting 116K. I haven't seen a lot of people share this level, I have to be honest. We'll have to see. Look, we'll have to see. If you're seeing people mention this level, then for me, if we move up into it with imbalances, it doesn't really matter what people are saying, because people can say that they will short this, but if they don't short this because of FOMO, because they're scared, because whatever, it doesn't really matter. I mean, look at what happened to me down there. I shared this support level, but I ended up not opening a long position. So at the end of the day, my opinion did not matter. Because why? Because I didn't put capital on the line. So as long as people don't put capital on the line, it doesn't really matter what they think. To me, it just makes sense. Like, it's just hard for me to expect a breakout above these highs after the big news and that people will be shorting this. It's just historically when you break above highs, people will be longing in the first place, and then on top of that you have big news, and then on top of that you have the big 4 hour imbalance. So this one, we'll have to see. I could be wrong, of course. And that's why, by the way, that's why I don't use limit orders, because if we move up into it and I don't see the short setup, so if we move up into it and funding rates are dropping, for example, I will not be opening a short position. It's that simple. But is the plan valid? To me, it's very valid. Like, it just looks good. Of course, I could be wrong. Like, I'm not always right. Sometimes I will miss a level. Down there, I didn't have a level. But then if you do, that's when you can wait for something clear to appear and then you catch a retracement. So I'm not gonna catch every move. But I think that would be it for Bitcoin. I've been talking a bit just to see if I can come up with a second scenario while I talk, but honestly, I can't think of anything else. And down there, the problem is that I don't have any support. That's my main concern for this job. Don't have any support. And look at the anchored view app. It has been respected 3 times already, so that's a bit overdone. How about from the low? Also offered the bounce there. I think I would keep an eye on this anchored view app this week just because I don't have my imbalances to look at. This anchored view app looks fairly interesting. It hasn't really been tested. Yes, it has been tested there, but that was a bit too early in my opinion. So I do think that if we take time to drop, maybe this anchored view app could catch up with price, and then we can see. But for now, I remove it. I don't like to keep too many levels on my chart. Okay, so so then we'll dive into Ethereum, of course. I don't even remember looking at Ethereum this week. So last week, I remember this. We gave this scenario, which I just remember. We had this 4 hour imbalance that could potentially offer a bounce. If anyone traded it, as you can see, it did offer a very good bounce. Over 5.5% from our level if you waited for maybe some lows, over 6.5% from the level, so that was a very good bounce, but ultimately this ended up getting given back. Now we have a triple bottom on Ethereum, so that's a bit of a confluence maybe to expect to drop on Bitcoin. I'm not the biggest fan of these lows. So on Ethereum, this plan didn't fully play out, of course, but you can see that this support offered a very nice bounce. As usual, it was just a 4 hour imbalance. What do we have on Ethereum? Can you open? 12 hour. We have this wick, which I want to keep an eye on. Why I don't have much. For Ethereum, I would just follow Bitcoin. And see this wick, by the way, that was an ugly wick, was taken out on this move before reversing. On Ethereum, I don't think I'm going to outline a plan just because it was so hard for me to come up with a good plan on Bitcoin. I think I would just follow the same path for Ethereum. So I'm not going to outline any levels because same thing, we don't have any imbalance below. Or do we? Yeah, we don't have any imbalance below, so just keep an eye on this, probably on the open of this candle, 4.1, which is above these highs. So maybe you could keep an eye on these highs. Of course, if you get a confirmed deviation, I tried better, then this can offer a short position. If you break above, then I would still look for that wick to get taken out at $4,400. So to the upside, we still have that wick on Ethereum. And to me, actually, it's pretty simple, I would say. Either you get a fake out and then a reversal, or you get acceptance back above that high and you move towards that wick. But this scenario, I don't think it helps anyone because do you want to trade the breakout? Not really, so I'll move on. You take a volume profile. Just keep an eye on this imbalance. That's what I'm gonna say. At the daily open, pretty much 3,900. Keep an eye on this imbalance. I'm not gonna mark it out because I don't trade Ethereum. But if anyone is interested, keep an eye on this imbalance. For other altcoins, we don't have much. Did Solana still hold our support? Where are my levels? Yep, Solana is still holding that support below. We still have that resistance above. So Solana, not much has changed, holding support, resistance above. We could get a bit of a range bound environment on Solana. But beautiful support, as you can see down there. XRP, well, now we go into the altcoins that have massive wicks to the downside, so I'm just not interested in covering them. Someone did ask about Link, I think, but request for Link. Request for Link. Bro, if you take that short up there, how big of a job was that? 70% if you shorted our level, which you did share in advance, of course. Now we can remove this. It's been a while. Why do I still have this? I'm gonna keep this level above because that was an interesting one. Link, let me see. Definitely daily imbalance. So 3-day as well. Ooh, that's nice. 3-day imbalance as well. Keep an eye on this. 12-hour imbalance, 12-hour order block. Ooh, that's a nice level. That is indeed a very nice level on Link. That's what I'm gonna take. Very small area, just around $22. To the downside, I think that was we didn't have an imbalance, but that was the same logic as Bitcoin. You had the order block, drop into the order block, reverse to the upside. So exact same logic as Bitcoin. Plus you had the 4-hour imbalance. So 4-hour imbalance for our order block, exact same setup as Bitcoin at the end of the day. Exact same setup. So same imbalance, same order block. So I'd say you've hit the support on Link, which was this one. Again, same one as Bitcoin. Do you want to lose that low now? Probably not. Probably not. Let me see if we have anything on the lower time frames. Okay, I like this. At least you have an imbalance on Link. Just take a level for this one. You don't need let's put this as an area. Okay, area. So that would be just below 17.4. So just around $17. Let's take a volume profile. Since the low, point of control, very good. Since this low, volume, ooh, that's very nice. Okay, this is a very, very, very nice level on Link. Kind of set an alert, but now it's too far actually. I don't need to set an alert. But on Link, that's a very nice level. I like it. So let's go back on there. Of course, this will depend on Bitcoin because that would be a fairly big bounce. How much? Yeah, that's 25%. That's a big bounce. So that would depend on Bitcoin, of course. Nothing surprising there. But I think if Bitcoin, of course, is able to push higher, then Link, kind of looking for that drop into support. First it higher, then drop it back down. That would be such a big move. Does it make sense to expect that? That's my main concern. I mean, it's a good support. It's a very good target to have. I would always have this target for a move higher. But my main concern is, do we get that move? If we don't, just be aware of this imbalance, which hasn't been filled. 20.5. So that would be your first target on your long. 20.5, which would still be a very big move. Yeah, that would be 18%, so a very big move. So on Link, I would say this is a very big support, at least in my opinion. So around 17.4, if you can drop into it, reverse it to the upside, instead of drawing this, let me just put this target up here. So for now, what you would look for on Link, did I say Ethereum, by the way? My bad. That's what you would look for on Link. Support. That would be your first target. Then, of course, if you break above this, you look for this up higher. I think this move is a bit more conservative and does make sense to expect. Can you look at DayGB? Of course, DayGB. DayGB, USDT. You always ask about that coin. What the frick is this? I mean, this coin literally just went to zero. Do you want to look at this coin anymore? It is interesting that this level got respected after, like, I've had this level for a long time, which was a daily imbalance. It is interesting that it got retested after the way it got put in. Day GB, man. I'll be honest, just avoid this coin. Look at this volume. Do you want to be trading this? No. Can I give you a good support? Maybe. You have this order block down there, but look at this volume. This is a very lightly traded coin, so I would completely avoid it. You can tell by all the gaps and the wicks and the sideways. Like, look at all of these gaps that you freaking have in the chart. It's just not a very good traded coin. I'd avoid this coin, Vesper. I mean Jean-Pierre. Just avoid this coin. I mean, when you have good coins, for example, like Link, much bigger coin, more volume, bigger market cap, more mainstream. Why would you look at DGB, which is just slightly traded, ugly, and just much weaker in general? I mean, it literally dropped to $0. Literally dropped to $0. I would completely avoid this coin. Plus, on the higher time frames, even before that wick, I see that just looks very weak. And we did share this level in the past, so if anyone did short this, that would have been very easy short. 70%. So yeah, I would avoid DGB. I'm sorry. It's just not a good coin. If you really want to find a level, I mean, you have this down there, but I don't know, man. 0.06. Just keep an eye on this order block if you really want to trade this coin. But when I see a bad coin, usually, personally, I avoid doing technical analysis on it. Yeah. So with that said, I mean, we'll dive. Did we take out the high? Not yet. Let me put an alert above that high. So 114.1. Where's my alert? Yep. Okay. That would be it. Or was that one? Oh, that was. Okay. So then let's move on to the stocks. We can cover gold at first. Well, of course, gold got a pretty big drop to the downside. Just a quick recap on gold on the higher time frames. We are still looking at the Elliott wave count. That was your big wave one. That was the first. If you want the super high time frame, that was the first big impulse on gold, the first big correction. So now 1, 2, that's another 1, that's another 2. You are moving in a wave 3. Okay, so that's your wave 3. For this wave, very simple, 1, 2, a very obvious 1, 2, another very obvious 3, 4, and this is a wave 5, but it is getting extremely extended. So the higher time frame bias on gold for myself is that, of course, I mean, it's obvious to say this, at some point we will top out in a wave 3, in a wave 5 for the bigger wave 3, and then you'll have the big correction for the wave 4. Was that the high on gold? We can go on the lower time frames. That doesn't look like a bad high in my opinion. Let's go on the 12-hour. We did have two 12-hour imbalances. You can see the last time we had a couple of imbalances at the highs was right there. Let me circle this. You had 3 imbalances on that high. And guess what? This ended up offering a top for how many weeks? So this ended up being the top for 130 days. So that would be 4 months, right? If my math is correct. So this three 12-hour imbalances on gold did end up offering a high for 3 months. So right now, it's not 3, of course, but it's not a small signal to ignore. Do you want to call for a top on gold? The main thing that I would look at would be the dollar. Okay, by the way, silver, we did get another big drop, and I think tomorrow I will sell some silver. Mainly because I'm looking at the dollar. And the dollar on the higher time frames is just very extended to the downside. Plus, I saw a lot of people on Twitter call for this to be the end of the dollar because of some trend line that they had. I even forgot what trend line this was. I think maybe, was it this trend line maybe that they had? And even then it got respected. I don't know which trend line people had on Twitter, but I do remember that some people had some sort of a trend line. I mean, I'm talking about big accounts on Twitter. And they said that since the dollar broke this trend line, the dollar is over and it will go much lower. My opinion, it doesn't make sense to expect this. Just fundamentally speaking, in my opinion, we will see a reversal to the upside. Plus, if you purely look at Elliott waves, this looks like a corrective move, A, B, C. So when the dollar is very extended to the downside, and I'm expecting a reversal at some point, would you expect the dollar to keep going up indefinitely? No. I mean, it makes sense. Some sort of a reversal on the dollar, and if you get this, by the way, all assets will go down. Bitcoin will go down, stocks will go down, gold will go down, all assets will go down once. In my opinion, it's not an if, it's a when the dollar will reverse to the upside. Doesn't make sense, I've been saying this, doesn't make sense to expect gold to have topped out and just continue to the downside. Can look maybe at some sort of a Fibonacci. What would be the initial range here? Would that be it? Yeah, that looks like a range. So let's look at the golden expansion. Ooh, wow. Wow. Okay. You can see, by the way, if you don't know the power of this pocket, look at where the high was offered. It was on the same exact pocket, 1.618 to 1.66, 1.618, 1.66. This offered the high back in 2022, so a high for 3 years. Where was this one pulled from? Same thing, this high to this low offered this. If I show you, if I draw it again, this high to this low, you can see this offered the high. So right now, even when you look at Fibonacci on the dollar, well, you can see this has offered a very, very nice bounce for now. And I would like for this to keep going, which would kind of align with my not higher time frame bias, but I would say at least medium time frame bias on Bitcoin, that we will come back down and take out the wick and drop below $100,000. When I look at the dollar, I just have to say, do you want to expect lower prices? For me, no. Fundamentally speaking, I'm not really talking about technicals. The dollar is not done yet. So that's a big support, technically speaking. We found it right now live, and you can see that it is offering a very nice bounce at this point. So if the dollar can consolidate and then continue moving up, then you would look for something opposite on gold and Bitcoin and stocks, which would be that potentially, yes, we could still make another high. It doesn't really matter, but ultimately now you go a bit sideways on gold and then you got reversal to the upside. We also did talk about this in our last live stream. This move just looks so parabolic. It reminds me of the move that we had back in 2011. Yeah, that was 2011. This one wasn't even as parabolic. You can see it was a bit slow, not slow, but it was like getting it was offering retracements before ultimately getting that big parabolic move. But even that one compared to today's one wasn't as extended. This one, you really didn't. You had this first retracement, second, third, then you had a bit of sideways, and now it's just completely up. So this reminds me of 2011. Plus you have the Elliott wave count. Am I bearish on gold? Of course I'm not bearish until I see weakness, but of course, is it a time to buy gold? I don't think so. If you bought gold down there, sorry, I just think it makes sense to start selling. Not financial advice, but for myself, I have bought silver around $21, and I think tomorrow I will start selling some. If it continues on going higher, guess what? I don't really care at all, because profit is profit. You don't aim for max profit when you make so much return. It is time to start selling. especially when you see the dollar basing out like this on the big support when people are flipping bearish, talking about a trend line. Just makes sense. So we can look at stocks. For my stocks, I still just sold AMD. That's the only stock that I sold. And this one is just, well, it just continues on going up. So again, I don't care. I literally bought AMD down there. So when you set it up here, do I care? Not really. It can go to $500. I couldn't care less. I did sell the first portion there when I saw a bit of weakness. Then we got the news and you sell more up there. I'm completely out of that stock. Sophie, I haven't sold yet. I'm waiting for the earnings, which is this Tuesday. Yeah, it's in 2 days. I want to see the earnings, but this one still looks extremely strong. New, I am looking to add into this one. If we can make another low, probably I will start buying the stock. If we can break back below this, I will start buying the stock. If we don't crash, of course, on Bitcoin and the stock market, which would make me believe that the stock goes lower, in which case I will still be interested in buying lower. But that's one stock that I'm looking at. Sold AMD, holding Sophie, Robinhood as well, still holding, just still freaking parabolic. And I don't, PayPal, still not moving. Holding the stock, by the way, if anyone is interested. That's mainly my holdings for now. Silver, this one moving up. Keeping an eye on this one. Not doing anything. Circle, I've been thinking about it, but I don't know. You can see I have a level down there. I don't know about this one. But yeah, that's mainly it for my stocks, guys. We can look at the S&P. Where did we? Yeah. So the target is still a bit higher. Same thing as the dollar, 1.618, 1.66. We have this target above just around $7,000. This would be a very big psychological level. Maybe we get that last move up there before that big reversal to the downside. One thing I have to say is that I am not a big fan of that low right there. I'm really not a fan of that low. That would be maybe a confluence if we move up there and get rejection. This would be a first target. Yeah, that's not a good low. Very poor low. But of course, right now, again, everything still looks strong. Do you want to be shorting? No. Do you want to be buying? No. So it's either you bought somewhere near the lows and you're now selling, or just holding, or you could be hedging, of course, but I'm not a big hedge guy because I trade Bitcoin. So you can just short Bitcoin. Let's see, did we get still high not taken out? It'll be interesting to see what happens if we take it out today. If we take it out today, maybe do I want to talk about this? The thing is that I don't really know if we take it out today what happens. Maybe we just move straight up there. And then the short gets offered tomorrow instead of later this week. I don't know. That's not the easiest week to predict. Sunday plan. Does look like we might make a new high right now. But I would really like that pullback. Just pull it back until tomorrow, pump it tomorrow, offer the short, drop it back down before the news, pump it after the news, trap everyone at the highs, and then get that reversal. This just makes so much sense to me. I can see it happening. But again, one main flaw with this scenario is that I don't have a support down there. So basically, where am I expecting Bitcoin to bounce? I don't really know. And that's why I wanted to be along from down there. But I'm very smart. So, hello, Raphael. I think that would be, not Raphael. What makes you interested in new stocks? Well, just the management, the expansion that they're currently getting, the revenues, the earnings per share, just everything. Just a very strong company, very strong balance sheet. They are looking to get into the US at this point. If you have your music, where do I put mine? You listen to my music. It will just be chill music, just it's called lo-fi. Lo-fi. I don't really listen to a lot of music, I have to be honest. I think it would be called lo-fi. Lo-fi. I don't even know how you pronounce that. Hmm. What's your trading setup? What is just it's right there, it's outlined in front of you. If what I'm looking for, Raphael, is mainly if we can drop or consolidate below this high, so below this high, $114,000 before tomorrow, and then pump into tomorrow, so Monday, I will be interested in opening shorts above this high tomorrow. If we get the move up today, no short for me because I'm not interested in trading the weekend. But mainly what I'm looking for, consolidate or drop until tomorrow, get the breakout tomorrow, drop it back down, pump, ideally around Tuesday, around Thursday, sorry, pump around Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then offer a very nice drop on Friday. That would be my plan for the week, and then maybe we break down and we close the week, so we get the weekend range somewhere down there, in which case that would be bullish, or we still close the weekend range somewhere down there around $107,000. I don't know. By the way, guys, is the video good? I hope it is, or is it laggy? I think I'm getting some problems. Is everything good, guys, on my video? Could I get some confirmation in the live chat? I think it's lagging a bit, if I'm not mistaken. Hmm. Anyone? Hello. Is it? Well, I don't know if. I hope I'm not lagging. I just hope I'm not lagging. Because if I'm lagging again, I'm gonna break my screen. It's good enough. There were some lags, but everything is fine. Frick. Frick. Well, I'm sorry about that, guys. Freaking there's why? Okay, in any case, I think plus I have shitty connections as usual. Okay. Well, I have pretty good connection. I just don't know why sometimes it just goes to shit. I'm sorry for the bad words, but I think we're all over 20, right? Okay, so with that said, guys, we'll do a recap. We've just done one for Raphael, but I think that's mainly it. For Bitcoin, the main big resistance to the upside does remain this one, around $116,600 to $117,300. Okay, so I'm looking at this as an area and not as a level. Of course, the strongest level will be 116.6, but if you break a bit above it, it's fine. What I'm looking for this week, if I show you the timeline, we have two very big news events on Wednesday and on Thursday. So that would be Wednesday, and that would be Thursday. So what I would love to see is a fake out above this high tomorrow, not today. Once again, if we break above it today, I'm not gonna be shorting. Of course, we could get a fake out today, but I'm just not interested in trading the weekend. Get the fake out today, drop it Tuesday, form a low either on Tuesday or Wednesday, pump it up on Wednesday and Thursday, reverse it back down, start of the reversal on Thursday ideally, and a final big drop on Friday. If we do get this, so if we do move up, which of course I am expecting at this point, it just makes sense, and we break above this level, above this area, I don't have any big area at least until the high $121,000, so pretty much $122,000. But it's a very big level. We have very big news. It just, as I've been saying, it's doesn't make too much sense to expect a breakout on news on a big level late in the week. It just doesn't make sense. Okay? Of course, I could be wrong, in which case either I will take a loss on the short, or if we move up and I don't see the setup, I will not take it. But it doesn't matter if I am bullish or bearish. The levels will never change. If you have a support, you get a nice reaction. You open the long position for a very nice reversal to the upside, as we had there. Same thing to the upside. Even if you're bullish, you have a good resistance, you move up into it, you get the imbalances, you get the reaction, you open a short position, potentially to hedge that long position if you got it for a reversal to the downside. Once again, if we don't get it, we don't get it. It is what it is. So with that said, thank you everyone. Video is good. Thank you, Rafael. So with that said, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you all for your questions and for the live chat. I do really appreciate it. I always say it and I can't say it enough. Thank you all for tuning in. I will keep on trying to provide the most accurate levels in the market. I do believe that we have the most accurate analysis. Not trying to brag, but I do believe that we have the track record. And I will try to keep on doing this over and over again until we don't until we don't know what happens. So once again, thank you everyone. If you could, of course, leave a like on the live stream, that would be massively appreciated. But once again, thank you everyone for live chatting, for sending questions, and just for being here in general. So with that said, I will see you all tomorrow morning. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.